Hello, greetings, and welcome everyone. First things first, I'm going to be talking about some chemistry related stuff in this video and giving some chemical formulas. To keep them straight, I will keep them on the screen and highlight them when I'm talking about them to minimize confusion. I will also plan to have a Lewis structure or ball and stick model for clarity depending on my editing skills. With that out of the way, let's get going. There are very few technologies that when I see them, I am so confused that I wonder how in the world someone could believe in it, except as a desperate ploy to stay relevant by the company proposing it. That visceral facepalm moment occurred when I came across a tech that proposed using ammonia of all things to power a combustion engine. They are touting this form of combustion engine as the EV killer on some YouTube channels. Tell me if you've heard that before. The tech promises no carbon emissions, but its other emissions are so bad to humans directly and immediately that I can't think this is anything but vaporware. I kind of made a pun, but you guys don't get it yet, so we're going to go ahead and get into that in a minute. I know I came out a little strong here, and you can see my opinion clearly, but is there some nuance that I'm missing? Some industry where ammonia makes sense in a combustion engine? No, not really, but why? Let's talk about ammonia. Ammonia is at room temperature a colorless, highly irritating gas that is hygroscopic. We'll circle back around to that one. Corrosive, the active ingredient in some pesticides, and a number of cleaners that say stuff like kills 99.9% of germs. And it is also used as a fertilizer. If someone were to breathe it in, ammonia is irritating and corrosive, aka melts the throat and lungs within minutes to hours of exposure. This does not require much to get the effect, by the way. If you so happen to spill a few drops on your pants from the ammonia station, for instance, which would have to store their ammonia a little bit colder to get that liquid ammonia thing happening, and you sit in your car with your windows rolled up and your AC off, a surprisingly common situation in spring and early summer in Colorado at least, you can get some negative effects in the time it takes you to drive home if you consider the average commute time in the US of 55 minutes. If it drips on your skin or eyes, it can produce skin burns, permanent eye damage, or even blindness within minutes. And with respect to the blindness part, the full scope of the eye damage won't be felt for up to a week. So one could accidentally get some ammonia in their eye, think they rinsed it out, and be at a non-0% risk of going blind some days later without warning. If someone drinks the stuff, by some sad twist of fate, they would experience corrosive damage, there's that melting word again, to everything it touches in minutes. There is no treatment for ammonia poisoning, so if a person ingests or absorbs it through the skin in any significant amount, they essentially have to discover a higher power, pray to that higher power, and hope that power cares enough to save them, because otherwise there is literally nothing anyone can do except try to dilute it with water or milk. I wish I was being dramatic there. The reason for these effects is the fact that the ammonia strips water away from pretty much anything at a molecular level. There's that hygroscopic word. This ruptures cells of all kinds and causes necrosis, known as cell death. That stated, ammonia is in varying small amounts found in the body. 15 to 45 micrograms per deciliter, which for those non-metric folk out there means that if you drained all the naturally formed ammonia out of a human of average weight, you would have about a single drop excluding urine, but urine tips the scales even less. I feel like now may be a good time to take a break and cover a little bit about why I'm doing this video. I've been following this ammonia engine in production cars thing for approximately a year, and was always one of those things that I'd hoped was a passing fad or one of those silly board meeting ideas that would get swept under the rug after a month or two, but no, it's almost a year in, and people, including Toyota and GAC Group, are actually still talking about it, and/or it is still being floated every few months by another AI-generated YouTube channel. Pretty wacky, really, considering the implications are mild to extreme cell damage or death, but I digress. Back to the topic at hand. Everything I mentioned before is before we burn it. When we burn ammonia, let's say in a combustion engine, You get some unburned ammonia, which we've discussed at length, nitrogen oxides, NOx, and nitrous oxide, N2O, along with potential carbons from the lubricants in the engine. Small amounts of carbon will become a sort of trend for this supposedly carbon-free solution, by the way. Before we get into that whole can of worms, though, let it be known that there exists a technology to remove all of these things from the exhaust. But the system to remove carbon and to remove NOx and N2O don't play very nicely chemically, and at present, the systems need more ammonia to remove the N2O and NOx. Imagine that, you need ammonia to remove the ammonia effects from the ammonia engine. Let's just keep on going. Let's talk about N2O first because it is much more fun than the other stuff listed here. N2O is commonly known as laughing gas, which is where the fun part ends. It is it has widespread use in medicine as a pain reliever, among other things, and is used in agriculture like ammonia is. All of that stuff is all well and good, but when it's released into the air, it can react with oxygen to form nitric oxide, which is one of the two NOx compounds we will talk about shortly. NO is a greenhouse gas that is about as potent as carbon dioxide. Now, for the NOx part of things, nitrogen oxides typically refer to two compounds, nitric oxide, which is mentioned above, and nitrogen dioxide, NO2, but can refer to many other oxides that contain nitrogen and or hydrogen. Different variations of these compounds have a lot of different effects, from completely innocuous to extremely deadly, like in the case of NO2. Surprise, surprise. NO2 can cause all sorts of ailments in animals and plants. In humans specifically, exposure to this gas for long periods of time can cause lung disease, and in plants can cause damage to foliage, decreased growth, or decreased yield of crops, etc. So, to summarize, all of the narrative around the ammonia engine being more carbon neutral is technically true, but it releases a gas that is literally just as damaging. Costs of refining ammonia are gigantic right now compared to refining gasoline overall from an energy perspective and from a monetary one. Gasoline, depending on who you ask, costs around 1 megawatt hour to 2.1 megawatt hours per metric ton, and for ammonia it is closer to 8 megawatt hours on average. From an actual money perspective, gasoline is about $185 per metric ton versus $530 per ton. For the CO2-free variant of ammonia. Yeah, you heard that right. Some versions of refined ammonia still have carbon in them, along with a host of other things that will either kill humans quickly or very slowly. Ammonia can still kill the environment as well, which also would kill humans. By the way, I didn't forget to convert those metric figures. Take that as you will. If after watching this video you want more info and go to my citations, that will be in the description by the way, you may notice the cost for gas has not been agreed upon when it comes to the energy consumption part, so I put a range that seems to reflect the highest and lowest estimations I could find that made sense to me mathematically. I do not have the money to buy extra studies and whatnot from oil companies, but approximations from people close to the industry had to do. There you have it. Ammonia is a crazy idea, to me at least, that even makes fossil fuels look tame. Its side effects are so dangerous and so obvious that I have a hard time believing that for a year it was even considered in any serious manner. Finally, I am not under some illusion that this video will automatically and surreptitiously end all discourse around this idea, nor do I believe that this video will convince all bot accounts to stop leading on the YouTube community with clickbait. But I do hope at least that some people's first exposure to this topic will be this video, and because I would like that to be the case, please go ahead and do the YouTube-y things, because I believe a good citizen is usually an informed one. If after all this, some folks are still inclined to believe that ammonia has any real viability, if you think this video was spot on, or if you just have questions, let me know in the comments. This was a lot of fairly dense information, and I am more than happy to clarify. I hang out in the comments for a little while per day for the first couple of days after I release a video, but it will be especially true and potentially extended for this specific video. At any rate, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. When we burn ammonia, let's say in a combustion engine, you get some unburned ammonia, which we've discussed at length, nitrous oxides, NOx, the nitrous oxide, wow, okay. When we burn ammonia, let's say in a combustion engine, you get some unburned ammonia, which we have discussed at length, nitrogen oxides, NOx, and nitrous oxide, N2O, along with potential carbons from lubricants in the small engine. Wow. Now I'm mixing sentences with other pieces of other sentences. Yeah, see there? That's how you know you need to slow down when you're doing that, mixing up, matching up stuff. Yeah, anyway.